Hello, hello. Sandy from Ledoux Designs, and tonight I'm going to work on my grandson's Valentine's Day card. So I thought maybe you guys would like to check this out. I think this monster truck dinosaur is super cute, and my grandson loves monster trucks, so I thought it would be perfect. I found these flame Trinity Stamps shaker bits, so we're gonna make it into a shaker card because there's flames on this truck, which I think is super cool, and I know my grandson will love that. Make sure you say hi when you pop on. Hey, Danny. And then to fill the space, I'll use one of these to put with the shaker bits, but I'm not sure what color yet because I need to see what color we end up with our little dinosaur. I also am going to use this stamp I got from the Ton. It says Happy Valentine's Day XOXO, and there's a die for the XOXO. So I'm going to use my Memento Love Letter, I think, for this, if it matches when I get done. Otherwise, I might change the ink, but Memento is the only inks I have in color other than oxides. So I'm going to use the Trinity Stamps Shaker pouches because I think that'll make it the easiest way to put this all together. Hey, Cheryl. So let's go ahead and get started because we have this cute little monster truck dinosaur stamp right here. So this is actually a digital stamp from Whimsy Stamps. I looked it up tonight. It's still on there, still available. Whimsy Stamps. It's called Monster Saurus Digital. It's $4. So if you're interested in it, then that is exactly where you can get it. It's an adorable monster truck, and we're going to color it up tonight. I am doing well tonight. It's been a long day. I've been cleaning all day, but now I get to sit down and have some fun with you guys. So grab you some snacks. I got some candy hearts since we're working on Valentine's Day. Get comfy, and we're going to get started. I'm definitely going to do this as flames. I wasn't sure about the front end, if I want the front end to be silver or flames, but I think I'm going to do it all in flames. I've only chosen 4 colors of flames, and then the base color of the truck is being blue because I chose a blue card base, so I figured we'd put blue in with the truck. Now the dinosaur, I haven't decided on his color either, so tonight we're winging it. So feel free if you'd like to jump in and make a suggestion at some point on what color you would want certain things to be. Don't hesitate, just jump on in there. Okay, so I'm going to start with his wheels first. We're going to call all of this mud, so we're going to have to do that with brown. But the wheels themselves, I think we're going to use W's with them tonight. So I have pulled out W9, W7, W6, and W5. So I want to start with that. That way we can get it rolling. Hey, Mom. Thanks for popping on with us. So let me put these up. We have 1 week before we leave for Florida. So I'll be live again on Tuesday. No worries. But Thursday, I'll be on an airplane. Hi, Renee. So here we go. We're going to start with W9. And I'm going to start with these wheels. Now, whenever you have these, they usually are sticking up. So the darker is going to be the underside of them, not on top of them. So I'm going to start building in that dimension there on each one of the wheels, because these are those big monster truck tires. So we're going to start with that, and then the artist actually put some on top, but I'm going to put the shadow area underneath. It just feels like it makes that kind of sense for me. So when you color and it's your image, you can choose which way you want to go. It's entirely up to you. Remember, you're the artist when you color it, or the colorist, if you will, whichever way you want to look at it. So you can make it any way that you want. Now we're also going to put dark along the bottom because it's what's touching the ground, and there would be some shadow effect there. And then of course this one is behind this one, so we're going to put a bit right here. And then I'm going to put just a teeny bit around this frame. So that's tire number 1. Then here we go on tire number 2. We have a lot of mud on this one, so that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to color the mud, I think. Mud can be very, very fun. So I'm going to put a little bit here and here, and then I'm going to go along this wheel. Went out a little further than I wanted to right there, but I think we're okay. Now the mud will also cast a bit of a shadow under here, so I'm going to put a little bit underneath the mud as well. This is going to be thick mud because it is a monster. It's a monster show, monster rally, monster truck, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what, monster jam. That's what they call it. Could you tell it just popped into my head? I knew I'd heard my grandson say it a few times, but I wasn't quite sure. So it took me a second to get that out. But Monster Jam is what they usually have when they have these little monsters around. And they have so many different kinds of Monster Jam trucks. So that's really cool. Okay, on this side over here, it's a little bit unclear on how big this tire is, but I'm guessing because this goes underneath that this is all going to be wheel as well, so we're going to put a bit of darkness in there. Sometimes when you purchase digital images, if you haven't seen it pre-colored, it's a little hard to interpret exactly what the artist had in mind. So we're just going to wing it, and hopefully we do it justice. I have not colored this image before, but I thought it was so cute when I saw it that I just couldn't help but pick it up. Same thing on this wheel, a little bit out here and under here, and then along this wheel. It'll just give it a little bit of depth. Okay, we are going to have to put, color some of this underside stuff too, but sometimes they make that in different colors. So I am just winging tonight, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go with all of the colors and the fanciness. I'm just going to just do it as I go, and we'll figure it out. So now I'm using W7. And because W7 is significantly lighter than the last color, I'm going to be doing the around the outside with this particular color, because I want to keep the outside a little bit darker than the inside of the tire is going to be. And I guess I could have gone darker, like I could have gone with W10 and so forth, but I think we'll be all right. All right, we're just going to get this color in here on each one of these wheels. Has anybody been watching those speed coloring videos I've been posting on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube? And if you haven't, you should check it out. Just look in the shorts section, and that's where you'll see it on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, be sure to check that out. I think we're starting to get a little dimension here in our wheels, which is what we want. We want these wheels to kind of pop out off the page because they're pretty big trucks. If you haven't seen them in real life, they're really big. So we want these wheels to pop out because that is the main part of the monster trucks. And when you go to Monster Jam, they always have the dinosaurs and stuff are part of the vehicle, not on top of the vehicle, but I think it's really funny interpretation of that. I figured I did enough gaming stuff for Cooper's birthday that we go a little different route for Valentine's Day. I've only chosen 4 colors, so the next one's going to be W6 and the last one will be W5. So this is W6. And also, just FYI, if you didn't, if you're planning on sticking around for the end, I have not pre-done the card yet, but I think it'll be fairly simple since it's going to be a shaker card. I'm going to leave a little bit of white for my highlight color. I probably need a little less on that one. Because I want to keep these wheels pretty dark. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in most of it and just leave the parts that are sticking out. They're going to have the highlight on them. Hi, Heather. I'm super happy to see all you guys popping in. How are you guys doing? Tell me how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to talk or just watch. That's okay too. I've been known to talk to myself, so it's okay. I don't answer myself, so it's okay that you don't answer either. Hello, hello. I see you said hi. Thank you. I like it when I can see comments. It's just sometimes when you guys get quiet, I'm like, ooh, did I drop off and they can't even hear me or see me or anything? So every now and then a little pop in is nice for confirmation that you guys can hear me and see me. There we go. I left a little bit on that back side of the tire too because it's a pretty big wheel. I've been cleaning my craft room today. You guys would be proud to see it. If you could see it on the video, you'd see, oh, look, she cleaned up her craft room. You can actually see parts of her desk now. That probably won't last long, but at least it's clean for now. A little bit. Those who craft often know it can just be a mess all the time. Now look at those wheels. Don't they look cool? If you ever come across a baseball player image, I want to find one for my grandson. When do you need it by, Cheryl? Is it for any time or is it for Valentine's Day? Okay, we're going to use W5 now. And this is going to leave a little bit of a highlight on here. The reason I asked Cheryl is because my grandson is going to start playing baseball as well. So I will be on the lookout or on the iPad drawing some baseball stuff because he's going to start playing, so I'm going to need it. Oh, his birthday's in May. Okay, we have lots of time. I haven't actually seen one, but I have one in my head that I want to draw, so hopefully we can get you one in time. Okay, so we're kind of blending out that color, but not too much because we want to leave that highlight look on the wheels. We'll also add probably some white gel pen. You need me to help you organize your craft room? No problem. Oh, look at that. I missed a couple of things on the wheels, so we're going to have to go back. Anybody see it? Notice that I missed it? These two little pieces right here. So I'm going to go back with W7 and put some highlight on there, and then I'm going to come in with W6. No, I've seen baseball players, but I can't remember where. Maybe Whimsy. I don't know that I've seen them on Whimsy. I've only seen one that I ever used before, and it was so long ago I can't remember the company either, so I'm in the same boot. Yes, Cooper. I get Cooper plays baseball with his dad a lot, so he's really liking it. Okay, so now we're going to do the rim, the inside of the rims and stuff, but I'm going to leave this part uncolored because I think I'm going to put a color in there that goes with the rest of it. So maybe red. Maybe we could even do that next. But I pulled out the 110 marker because it's a warm gray. Oh, man, it felt like, uh-oh, I might have a problem with my 110. I need to see if there's a crack or if I just didn't have the, oh, dang it. There's a crack in my 110 marker. And this end is completely dry. So that's going to be a problem. But it is closer to the, it's closer to the W's than the 100. So I wanted to kind of stay with that for this one. I'm going to wait on that, I think. Maybe just a little teeny bit. There we go. It's on a travel team and he loves it. Oh, that's awesome. This is, I need to figure out which, it's this one that has a crack in it. Dang it. I knew when I took it off, it didn't feel like it was attached enough. So I figured something was wrong with it. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the W9, which we used on the rest of the tires to keep this inside part dark. So W9 on there. And I'm going to actually do it on this inside piece as well. When we get done, when we do this part, then these bolts, I'm going to make those black as well. So I'll use the 110 for that. I've always had issues with my 110 marker, even when I've ordered new ones. Oh, that's a bummer. I've had that 110 marker for a really long time, but I can see the crack in the cap. I have a bunch of spare caps that I've collected over time, so I can totally use one of those. Okay, so these things up in here, I want to make the wiry part a different color so it shows up, but I want to make the circle parts part of the W colors. So I'm going to start with W7. I'm sorry you've had trouble with your 110. 100 is more of a cool black, and 110 is more of a warm black, which is why I use 110 with my, I missed one, with my W's. But that's a bummer. I highly recommend anytime anyone gets a new marker that they check it, weigh it when it comes in, check the caps, do all that stuff to make sure that everything is good when you get it. All right. And then I want to do the mirror as well. So I'm going to start with the lighter colors. So this time we're going to start with W7. I'm trying to put all the same colors so we don't have to keep getting the same markers out. And I'm going to put that in the center and then on the corner and then underneath like that. And then I'm going to go to W5. Sorry. I started with 6. This is 5. We're going to go around the outside with 5, and then we'll come in with 3 to finish it off. There we go. W3 is the last one. So I'm going to blend that together a little bit. Keep those highlight areas so that stands out a bit. I think what we're going to work on next is I want to work on the windows of the truck, because I feel like I need to get that out of the way because it always stays light colored. So I'm going to use C3, C1, and B000. I know that sounds strange, but I like to put that B color in there. And then when I finish, I'll use the 0 colorless blender. So first I want to get some shadow area in here. Also, sometimes these trucks, they have like a line like across the top like this of darker color. So we'll just put one on there just for the heck of it. We'll keep that top part darker than the rest of it. And then I'm going to put a really fine line down here and here. And then we're going to start working on the side windows. So a little bit here where the light is, a little bit here. And then we're also going to put that dark color along the top on this one. This side is going to be part of the car, not the window. So we're going to make that car color. Hi, Liz. The next one we're going to use is the B000, because I like to have a little bit of blue in my windows. So I'm going to just go along there, and then I'm definitely going to go over this top part right here. And I know that the B000 is significantly lighter than the B1 that we're going to use next, but it's because I want this under the gray so it's not too blue, if you will. I want it underneath the gray. So we're going to go with the C1 next, and then we'll blend it out with the colorless blender, which will lighten it all up a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of swish across where I have that blue and a little bit further. I'm going to kind of leave a little bit in the center uncolored. The colorless blender will pull the color into it. But as you can see, I went over that top part again because I want to keep that part darker than the rest of it. So I'm just going over it again. That way it really stands out. Okay, I'm going to grab my colorless blender, which I have right here. I have 2 of these, by the way, so I don't have to refill them as often. And then I'm just going to go back and forth over this area down here that's more like the white area. Same thing with this one, back and forth. But I'm not going to go over that top part because it'll lighten that up and I don't want to. So there we go. We have that part done, and it'll look a little bit different as it dries, so it won't look that dark. I'm going to do the headlights in these colors as well. So C3 at the top. And then I'm not going to put the blue in it. It'll make it look different. C1 on the headlight. And then colorless blender to blend it out. And again, it's that back and forth motion on that. Now remember, we're going to make the whole front end flames. So not the grill and not the bumper. So we're going to have to do the bumper and the grill. I want to keep the bumper a little bit darker because it's kind of worn and doesn't need to be quite as shiny as you would think. So let me grab my W7 real quick to put up here on the grill. I'm also going to put a little bit on this side and along the bottom. And then every other one of these, I'm going to put a little bit of a dark line on there, just so we can start getting a little of that built in. Then we're going to start with W5, which we're going to start from the little grill. And then we're going to start doing the bumper. So this is around the corner. It needs to have a little bit of darker. And then this is the corner edge as well. So I'm going to actually do my lines coming from that center part out in each direction. And then I also want to do this part right here. And I think we're going to make these covers over here in a color. So we're just going to touch on these parts right here. And the back bumper, same thing. It needs to have some dark color on it. We want to make this a really bright looking car. So we're going to flip to W3. And normally for chrome, I would use cool colors, but because he's a monster truck and he's in mud, it's okay to be more like a warm gray that looks a little bit dirtier than the cool gray does. The cool gray looks bright and shiny. You would want to put that on a brand new bumper, but this one, it's kind of old. I'm going to use this C3 to finish out my grill. Hi Liz, hi Jana. And then W1 to smooth out the bumper. So just a smooth stroke all the way across to get those colors to blend together. Pretty easy and simple on that part. Now, before we get into the red coloring of the flame and the red and yellow and all that stuff, I want to do the dirt so we can get that out of the way. So for the dirt, I chose E29, 27, 25, and 23. So I'm going to start with 29. And we're going to start with the bottom part of these dirt piles. Smoke, whatever dirt, this dirt being thrown up on the vehicle. And then I'm going to put a little bit of like circular things in there. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to make the dirt look like it's unsettled. And we're going to do that back here as well. And we could just make it look, you know, smooth and blended, but then it won't look like a dust cloud, dirt cloud, whatever you want to call that. So we're just going to do a little bit of circular type motions inside there. They don't have to be real clear, just a little bit. We're going to do the same thing with these this mud on the tires. So some of it is going to be along the edge and some of it is going to be like just randomly within there. Same thing on this one. Definitely mud up underneath the vehicle. But then so it doesn't look smooth, we're just going to do some little half circle-ish kind of. You could even do dots. You could stipple a little bit if you wanted to. It's kind of up to you how you want your dirt to look. I'm going to put just a couple of more in here on that side. Then we're going to go down the tire here where it's layered up right here. This lower part right here, we're going to get quite a bit of that dark color within there. Some up here, but not completely all over. And then some of that squiggle, circle, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to add a little bit more down here behind the tire because you would definitely have some shadow coming off those wheels. And that's step one. Remember, this is mud, it's dirt, it's crazy, so it doesn't have to be specific on exactly what you do. You can just kind of play around with those colors while you're practicing. 27 is still also pretty dark, so I'm going to try to get a significant more amount of that towards the bottom, and then we'll do the same thing with just adding a little bit within. Just getting some mud in there. I'll do some down on the bottom there. Some a little out from here. Some are going over top of the artist drawn lines or the squigglies that I put on there. And we're going to do the same thing over here on each one of these. I want there to be more coming out from where underneath the car, but I don't want it to be smooth. So notice I'm not doing a smooth motion with my marker. I'm just kind of skipping around everywhere because I want it to be random and not specific. And then when I feel like there's a little bit too much white, I just put some little dots in there. It doesn't have to be completely filled in, but if you do fill it all in, that's okay too. It's your dirt. You can do your dirt and mud however you want. I think I might need a little bit more back here. So I'm going to come back here and add a little bit more. Don't want this to be much lighter than the rest of it. So I added a little bit more there. We have 25 and then 23. So with 25, we're going to keep doing that same thing. Putting a little bit of color in, making sure we go around the outside, leaving a little bit of white for the lighter colors. But this one will finish coloring in most of it. It's significantly lighter than the 29, so it's pretty solid there. Then we're going to work on these parts. I just don't want any white around the edges, but white can be left in the center. This is really just my interpretation of how I would want this colored, but feel free to do your own thing. You can take some of my tips and make it your own. That's what makes your style recognizable. So far, so good. It looks like mud. And I want it to look like mud a lot. I want to make it darker where this mud is overlapping. And then 23 is the last color, E23. But I'm not going to sweep across it. I'm going to do just stippling over top of the white spots. I don't want to blend this at all. I want to leave it the way it is. The bigger the spot, the longer I leave the marker on the paper, the more ink will come out. And the smaller the spots, the less amount of time I leave on the paper, because I don't need it to saturate that much. Just put a little bit in there, so long as I'm not leaving any white spots. And now we have dirty, muddy tires. All right, moving right along. We're doing good. Okay, so let's work on the blue part of the car, and we'll do the flames last. So I chose B37, B26, B34, and B24 for my blue truck. Hi, Taz. So for the blue, I'm going to do the side of the car, a little bit in the flames, but not too much. Just a little bit. I'm not going to go around the whole parts of the flames yet. I also want to build in a little bit here and go up the side of the truck. Same thing on this side. We'll go across the top. This little guy, oh, that's probably supposed to be flames, but oh well. It won't be now. That's what happens when you don't pre-color an image before you go live. But that's okay. It's okay. We can still make the top part flames. It just won't go all the way up the car here. And that's, again, a preference that you can do on your own. I do want to do inside here pretty dark, because this is the inside, like the bed of the truck, and the dinosaur is shadowing that quite a bit. And then, of course, where his nails are coming across the truck, there'd be some shadow there. So I definitely want that. I want to make these rims a little bit different color. So I'm not going to color those just yet. And I want this inside to be flames, so we need to put a little bit of blue on this outside part right here. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. Same thing here. And a little bit right there. And then underneath this mirror here. Look, there's no car door. There's no door on this car. What's up with that? You got to climb in the windows on monster trucks? You might. I don't know. Never ridden in a monster truck before. There's a little bit back here that I want to get some shadow color in. And then we're going to make that whole front end in that fire color. I might leave these parts of the lights, the outside of the lights, maybe make them black. So we're going to go around them when we're doing the fire part of the car. B26 is next. And we're going to start expanding from where we put that last color. Starting to fill that in a bit. Definitely up underneath this dinosaur's teeth. And over here as well. We are going to color his teeth. Ah, that's all supposed to be flames. Dadgummit. Maybe we should have done the flames first. Then we wouldn't have done that. That's all right. No worries. You guys wouldn't know if I didn't even say anything. We'll be good. We'll be golden. All right. Expanding from where I put that color, just adding a bit more in there. Trying to be careful not to go into the flames again. I don't think anyone will notice. And I don't think it's messed up enough to stop. So I'm just going to keep on going. Keep on trucking. Never give up, never surrender. And away from the light. Can't guarantee, no, I don't think anyone, right? Nobody will notice. You guys will know because you were doing it live with me, but nobody else will know. Okay, this is B34. It's lighter, but it's not the lightest color. So we have one more color, so we're only going to leave a very small amount area that we're going to do in the next color. I like the blue color. Gonna leave a little bit over here on the hood for the lightest color, but not right here. We're just gonna color that in. I'm gonna color this in. I'm gonna color this in. This for sure. That we might even go back in. In fact, let's do that right now with 26 because that needs to be darker because that's all the bed of the truck and it would be definitely darker. Okay, there's our flames. Here's our truck. This is flame right here, so we gotta go around it. This is all the back of the car and the dyno is shadowing it, so I'm just doing all of this in this particular color, leaving just a little bit for the lightest color. In fact, I just really like this color, so I don't know that I want to put too awful much more of the lighter color in there. This is all going to be flames. I'm going to cover that blue up with the red, but this part right here needs to have blue on it. It's this part right here where there's going to be a bit of flames in there that I'm going to want to have as the dark red. So we can save that. I think we're good. We're also, I'm assuming this is the, I don't know if this is dirt or the underside of the car. We're going to, it's usually lifted up and that's something you see like the ground from there. So we may have to cut that out with an X-Acto knife, but we'll wait and see what it looks like when it gets completely done. Again, this didn't even have a sample of what this looked like colored, or maybe it did. And I just don't remember. I bought this image so long ago, I don't really remember what it looked like. But I am going to go over these really light areas with this color because this color tone changes it just a little bit. And I want to make sure it all matches for the most part. So just adding a little bit in there with this color. That was B24. All right, so let's go ahead and work on some fire. So I have R27, R24, YR04, and Y08. And I may have to go with a lighter Y, but I'm not sure. So we need to just get started and see what we need as we go. Okay, R27 is first. So it's going to look like it's fire and that it gets lighter. It's going to be dark at the bottom and get lighter as it goes back. So we're going to put this R27 down here. And on this side, and we might need one more R color because I feel like we're going to need some depth in here rather than this just one solid piece right here. And then this side, I'm going to try to stay with the same. We wanted to make these red. I want to try to stay with the same colors at the same areas. So we're going to make these red only. And then the underside of the truck probably ought to be blue too. Oh, we need to have some red up here at the top. But we're going to need the darker red to cover up some of that red area that I did in blue. So I think I'm going to grab our 59 to get a little bit more red. So I'm going to put that in down here at the bottom. And then we'll blend out again with our other color. So a little bit at the bottom, maybe along this transition spot right there, and then a little bit on these side rails here. I think this deep color is going to help a lot. So we're going to do that, and then up here where I colored in the blue flame right there, we're going to make that red, and I think we'll be all right. We should probably put just a teeny bit on these flames, but not much. Okay. Hello, Beth. Now we're going to come in again with that R27 and soften this up a little bit, this little spot that goes between the two areas, because it's too harsh of a line for us to leave it there. So I'm just going to work that until I get that a little bit more smooth. You can see how I do that, just touching it over it a couple of times to get that depth to come out. Now see, doesn't that even look so much better? There's one example of this colored on the Whimsy. They colored that underside. They colored all of this on the underside the same color as the vehicle. I would love to know that answer. Did they color it the same color as the truck or the flames? Because I bet somebody knew what was intended by the artist when they colored it. So thank you for looking. I really appreciate that. That's very, very helpful to me. Usually I try, when I'm going to do a live, I try to print out the previously colored ones so I don't have any questions of what color is what. It looks the same. Okay, cool. All right, now this just right now looks like a red and blue truck, but the flames are gonna look so cool. I can't wait. Okay, we're gonna color that underside in the blue color, I think, the same color as the truck. All right, B24. This is a lighter red. So I'm just going to put a teeny bit on the edges on the side and a little bit here. We're going to start moving into that orangey color next. Right after this. So we'll have orangey here and yellow out on the edges. So this, we just need to soften up that edge. There's not a whole lot on these sides, but I do want these wheel covers to be only red. So we're going to finish those up. And then we're going to come here a little bit. I'm going to touch just one side of that little flame getting away from the other ones. Thank you so much, Danny, for checking that out for me. I really appreciate that. Here is YR04. And this one, I'm going to start coming from this area right here. We're going to have to soften that up. And then we're going to start going this way. Now, I don't want it to be smooth this time. I need it to look like the flames are shooting all over I'm going to put a little bit of orange in there. A little bit here. A little bit up in that one. A little bit right there. A little bit right here. Okay, there we go. Now we need to work this transition a little bit more, so we're going to just kind of go over that a couple of times until we can soften that up. There we go. Nice. That's a good transition. I always like to see what things are supposed to be. Me too. I do too. If I can't tell, I mean, if I draw it myself, then I know what the intent was, but if I didn't, then I'm not really sure what they meant. So now I'm using Y08, and I think we're going to use Y11 at the end to just make the tips of those flames look really light colored. I got to go over the orange, and we'll have to work these transitions a little bit more. We got to get some yellow up here. We won't need a third yellow on those because that's such a fine, small area. I'm going to grab me a little paper here and wipe off any red I got on my marker or orange, because I don't want to pick up any color and make my flame that color. So the key is to hold a piece of paper next to you, so if you pick up that red color, you can get it off the tip of the marker before you touch the area you want to be yellow. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. These areas right here, I'm trying to come from the outside in just to keep that yellow really bright, since we won't be able to put the last color of yellow in there because it's just too small of an area. But as you can tell, it's starting to look really nice. We're going to come back in here one more time and soften up this flame area so that there's no lines in there that make it look like we didn't know what we were doing with our color transition. And then I'm going to grab the Y11 to soften the tips on the hood. So this is the Y11, and I'm going to go from the tip back to the color. The tips, see, we might pick up blue with the tip, and we don't want green flames, so we have to wipe off our marker to make sure we're not picking up a color we don't want to have. Which is why I probably should have done this color before the blue, but what's done is done. I would say in the future, I might actually try coloring with doing the flame first. It turned out just fine. I'm not worried about it. I like the way it turned out. I'm going over it one more time, these little areas back here, just so that I can get some of this really light yellow over top of our darker yellow, because it'll help brighten those up. So there's our little flames. I love it. And it does make me think that I definitely want these to be black. It's looking good. Do you like it? Let's go in and do the blue before we go and do the headlights. I'm going to do that underside all in the dark color. So I'm back to the B37 that we started with for the truck. And we're going to put that up underneath here. It's going to kind of look like black, because it's that dark, dark blue, but it'll be okay. All right, I'm a little nervous on doing all up underneath here. I might just make that black. Up under here, I feel like it's the car, so it's okay. It'll look normal, but when they put this line right here, that tells me that that's open underneath there. So my mind is struggling with the thoughts of what color that would be. So We're just going to put this color mostly in there, and then we'll pick one of the other blue colors. We're not going to put a whole lot of it under there. We want to keep it dark. All up dark up in there. So we'll use B26, and then that's it. We're not going to use any other of the B colors, because we want that to remain very dark underneath there. I'm going to go in with that W9 and do this underside so that it kind of looks like maybe the wheels or the background or whatever, but we're going to color this in. I think that's okay. It just looks like dirt or tires or wheels or whatever you want to imagine under there. I think it's good. I also think that we should make these look like flames too. So I'm going to do these little things as flames too. So starting almost like you would do with a candle, starting at the very bottom with the darkest red. And then the second one is R27. This is using very small amounts. Very, very small amounts. R24 is next. That's going to look like fire coming out of that dirt. Then YR04. You need several colors whenever you're doing flames like this in order to see that transition. And then Y08. And I'm just going to do a little bit into that highest. Picked up some black on that one. So wanted to make sure I got it off the tip of the marker. And then we'll add that Y11 up there as well on a few of them, just so that they stay. And see how they kind of look like fire underneath the vehicle as well. I really like it. Just adding a little bit of that on there so that it stands out a little bit. There we go. It's looking so good. Clean the tip of your marker is brilliant. Yeah, because if you drag that color, you'll be very unhappy. So I did this part of the car right here with W6, but I think it really needs to be done with the B color. So I'm going to use B26 and I'm just going to go right over top of it. I feel like it stands out too much with the W color. And I don't want it to really stand out like that. So I just went over that again with B26. All right, perfect. Okay, so I want to change that color up a little bit. So I'm going to use my colorless blender because I feel like it has that big black spot in there. And I'm just going to go in there and touch it a little bit just to kind of break up that that solid color, and then we're going to add a little bit of dirt into it. So with our E27, we're going to go in there and just add just a little bit of E27, just so it's not a smooth break there. And I'm going to do it with the E23 as well. You wished your mud looked that cool. I'm glad you like it. Gonna darken up a little bit of this so it all kind of blends together a little better. I think that makes it look so much better. Now, I want the wheels to stand out, so we are going to do the wheels in red. We did the trim here in red, so we need that wheel rim to be red. Now remember, we're gonna go in and do the bolts in black. So you want to make sure you don't cover them up too much with this red color so that you can't see them. but you are going to go over them, so if you get into it, it doesn't matter. So don't stress too much about going over them. I really like this truck. I thought it was super cute. You wish your mud truck looked that cool. I don't have a mud truck, but I bet it is fun to go mudding. I've heard people do it. The closest I ever got to mudding was brand new. I got to ride in a brand new truck with Kevin Harvick, the NASCAR driver, around a dirt course. Back when my son was young and he was really into NASCAR, and I took him and I got to ride in with the drivers. It was really fun. Okay, R24 is next. And I believe it's our last red, so we're going to go ahead and blend that out. Don't worry, this one's light enough that it doesn't matter if you go over the bolts, because we're going to go in with the multi-liner and make them black. So you can just go over the whole thing. It'll make everything easier. All right, I'm going to do the multi-liner real quick right now. And I'm going to use the pretty big one. I'm going to use the 0.5 so that we're not sitting here for a long time with me trying to make a little circle out of them. Fix that one. Make that one black. That one. That one. There we go. Now, normally on a regular car, I'd probably make those like really shiny or use my white gel pen. But Dustin Pike draws such fun things. I don't have many of them, but they are on my wish list. Oh, he's my favorite. I buy a lot of his stuff. I really like his artwork for sure. He's definitely my style. There's not a whole lot of people out there that have the same style as what I really like, but he is definitely one of them. Okay, now I'm going to take my 100 marker, which is the black one, and that's the one that I'm going to go around the headlight. Just around this, I want the headlight to look like it's sunk in a little bit. And then I'm going to go around this side as well. And then we'll add C9, which we already have out, I believe. Somewhere. Hold on, let me look. Nope, I have the W's. Here's C9. We're going to start extending from that and going around the outside. We only need one more color because we really want to keep these pretty dark since they're supposed to be black. I mean, monster trucks are cool as they are, but they're even cooler when you stick a big old dinosaur in the back. I mean, how awesome is that? There's also a tail light that you can't really see very well. It's I'm going to do it in R59. It's back there. And then I'm going to grab C7 so I can finish off the headlights. So I want them to look like the headlights are sitting back into this little casing here. There we go. So now we have our truck. Anything is better with a dinosaur. You got that right. I agree. 100%. 100%. So I want to start with his eyes. And the reason I want to start with his eyes is because I feel like they need to have some whites to them before we give him eyeballs, because we are going to give him eyeballs. So I'm just going to start with C3 and kind of deepen up these edges, but only the small little areas on the outside, because we're going to give him some eyes in here. Then I'm going to take my C1 and I'm going to go over that and extend just a little bit. It's just to soften up that gray. I don't want it to be too gray, but I definitely want some color in there. Now, that's hard to see on camera, I'm sure, but we're also going to go over it one more time with our colorless blender. Those who watch me all the time, you guys know this is my process all the time with eyes. We're going to push that gray back into the edge of the eye. And the reason that we do this first is because we want this to dry while we're waiting for the rest. So if I hold it up, you can really see that little bit of white in his eyes. And that's pretty important. Now, I think we should do his little hair right here like fire. So we're going to use those same colors on that top part of his hair. I think we're going to make him green because I just think he'll look really cute. I think if we do him any other color, it's going to offset the picture a little bit, and I want to stay with the theme. So we're starting with our R59, and we're just building out, not in solid, but just a few little brush strokes of that really dark color. Be a great on a kiddo scrapbook page. Yes, it definitely would. I could see me coloring it again for that. R27, gonna make sure I go out into that first one. Now we're extending a little bit more. And then R24 will be next. And I'm gonna want a few of these brush strokes to show in the orange and yellow. So these are going to go a little bit further than they did when we did them on the car. And then YR04. So going over top of that red that we already put in there, and getting a little bit of that orange in that last color of red will help. And then Y08, and we'll leave a small area on the tips for the Y11. So going over that and bringing that color out just a little bit further. Leaving just those little bitty tips for the lightest color. This one's going to need to be softened or it's not going to go right. Y11 is what we're going to do this part right here. I'm just going to touch the marker in case I picked up any of that orange or red. I don't do that all the time, but for fire, I do it a lot. Just to get that yellow in there, but not pick up that color on the tip of my marker. So now he looks like he has on fire hair. So let's work on his teeth and his claws next. And then we'll work on his body. And then we should do his spikes in either red, yellow, or orange. I don't know, but one of those. So I'm going to start with E44 on his claws. So at the very top of the claws. And we got to get these ones up here too. Oh, I missed a spot with the blue. I gave him an extra toe. We don't want to do that. He doesn't need an extra toe. Okay, so at the top of each one of the toes, I'm putting the E44. And I'm going to put a little bit, oh, you love his hair? I do too. I think I'm going to put a little bit on some of these teeth of this E44. Like just where the artist put a few lines, kind of to show like his teeth are dirty too. Maybe he's really getting into that mud thing. Put a little bit on the underside of that one. And then we're going to use E43. His hair is going to look really good when we do his, when we do the rest of his body. I'm using E43 to finish them off because they're so tiny. I don't really think I need to do another color. So now I'm going to go along the tops of his mouth with this E43, but just the tops of his teeth, not all of it. Normally I would do white on the teeth, so like the C3, 1, whatever, but because, you know, he's an angry dinosaur and he doesn't get to brush his teeth, I'm going to use E40 to finish his teeth. So normally I would use, you know, C3 or C1 and the colorless blender, but we're going to make his teeth look like he got mud on his teeth a little bit. So we're just blending out and we're putting the E40 on there. And that is why we're going to make his spikes a different color. Okay, so I did not grab green colors, but I'm going to grab one of my favorite green combinations for him. So I like G99, YG67, YG17, YG03. We're going to try those 4 colors. They're some of my favorite greens, so I think they'll work out really good. It goes from very, very dark to very, very light. And he's got these little spots all over him, which I might use YG21 or YG01 to kind of make those stand out a little bit. But for right now, we need to get some dark shadow in here. So I'm going to put some around his hair and definitely around his eyebrows because we want him to look like he's a little bit on the angry-ish side. He really wants to win that monster race. Going to put a little bit around his nose as well. This will definitely deepen his eyes, which I want it to do. So then we're going to come in here, this part right here, kind of make that dark. This inside of his mouth, I always make that the darkest color of whatever his skin is. Especially when it's an animal. It makes the teeth look like they stand out a little bit more, so I tend to do that a lot. Then I'm going to add a little bit up around his mouth as well. Just on the side and the underside. And then these lines that he put in there, I'm just going to emphasize those with this dark color so that those type of areas kind of stand out a little bit. And then in his nose, I'm going to put a little bit of this darkest color as well. Now we're going to do up underneath. This will be his neck. And it should be really dark because it's covered by his head. On top of his arms, then his head and neck are covered. And then all of this right up against the truck needs to be dark as well. And behind his arm. And then where his leg is overlapping his body, we're going to put some there. And above his claws there. And then just this where his tail is folded over. And same thing with where it's folded over here. And now we have some deep depth in there. Hey, Kathy. Now, YG67 is still pretty dark, but a little bit of a different green. So that's why I like this green combination so much, because it changes from like a dark huntery green to a mossy green. And then we're going to lighten it up even more than that. And so you're going to get so much variation of green in him that I think it really makes him pop. Just extending from where I put those previous colors so we can get that depth in there. Definitely going to do some out from his eyes. We definitely want his eyes to look like they're kind of sunk back in there a little bit. So that's why we're going to start building around. Going to do a little bit down this way. I'm avoiding that nose a little bit because I want those nostrils to look a little bit like they're sticking out. And then we're going to do this right above his teeth. That will make his teeth stand out a little bit since they're such a light color. Up under here, we need to get some more in there. And now we're going to do this color over top of each one of those claws. Still extending out from where we put the last darkest color of green. Everywhere we put that dark color of green, we're going to add into that. We put it over his feet, over here. I'm going to start building that part out just a little bit. Trying not to go over any of those circles too much with these darkest shades because we want to be able to find them so we can add that really light color to it. So that's the reason. I'm going to go a little bit around his nose as well because again, I said I wanted them to look like they were sticking out. So we need that shadow area. Oh, we need to do over his toes because we did it with the smaller toes. There we go. Oh, I'm covering too much. Can't see what I'm doing. Can you turn it some? I can, yes. And I will be more careful. Sorry. I was so focused on my little dinosaur. Okay, this is YG17, and I'll turn the image so you can see it a little bit better. You let me know if that helps. Sometimes I get a little focused on it, and I do color with my face all up against my image. So yeah, if you just tell me, I can work on that. So now I'm going to want to do all around the outside. I'll zoom in just a little bit too so you can see. So all around the outside because we only have one more color and then the spots color. This is his cheek. Around his nose. A little out from there. We're going to leave some of this for his lightest color. And go ahead and finish that nose there. This nostril's much bigger, so we're going to leave a little bit for the next color. Down from this part. And up from this part. That way it kind of builds the shape so that you can do that in the lighter color. Yes, that works. Yay! Yeah, sometimes you have to remind me because I've been coloring so much. These past few days I get all into it and then I don't realize I'm covering it. And I want you guys to be able to learn and see new stuff and get techniques and practice things, so definitely don't hesitate to say anything. Okay, this part is all up under his face, so all except for the last claw is going to be colored in this YG17. And then we're going to start working on the back area a little bit. I'm going to start going out from where I put that last color. Starting to extend that out a bit. Going to come in from the back as well. And I want those to be all lighter, so we're just going to stop there. We're going to go up from the foot, out from the side, and around the outside. Then the same thing with the tail. Down from the top, inside from the back of it, and then up from the bottom, leaving a small area there for some highlight. And then these areas, I'm going to go along the top, and then I'm going to soften where I put a darker color, leaving small areas for the next color. Hi, Darlene. Nice to see you. This is YG03. I think let's go ahead and put in the lightest color first. It's not traditionally what I do, but because I don't want to spend too much time on the spots, so I'm going to go in with YG01 around the spot areas and put this really light color in there. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it too much. It's still green, it's just much lighter. And we'll come back in one more time after we put the other color in to make sure we have them blended out really well. I'm not really specifically changing the colors of his spots. I want them to still be part of the green. I feel like we have enough going on with the fire. We don't really need a whole different color. So then I'm going to go in with YG03 for these areas up here. But as you notice, I'm only going to soften the transition where that lightest color is, because I don't want to go over it and wash it out. Make it darker, you know. Don't want to make it darker. Then we're going to come in here, just soften that edge. And then we'll color in this part down here. That way we're still leaving that like light color in there. Kind of going around that one as well. The center part we can soften. We'll come in with the other marker one more time before we're done, just for any additional steps we might need to take. I'll leave that outside right there for the YG01. I feel like it'll really help to have a little bit of that on there. Blending this out, softening the transition spots. There we go. So far, so good. And then we're going to start working on this part right here. Again, skipping around where that lightest color is. We're going to do his arm. Get that light color in there for his arm. Soften this up because we don't want to see that transition. And we're going to add some here. We'll be back to that to soften it up in a minute. We're going to add this. Then we'll come back in here, soften this. Go back over here and soften this. Oops, toes. Toes. One more time on the toes. Give them a second. Toes. There we go. And then he's so stinking cute. He is. And then we'll just briefly go back in with that YG01 just for any of the spot areas, just to kind of soften, add to the nose a little. Over here, just to make sure everything blends nice and smooth. Plus add a little bit more of this color to him. Now he just needs eyes and he will be done. Okay, so his eyes, I think that we're going to need to give him blue eyes to stick with the same colors we have. So I'm going to use B37, but before I use that, I'm going to use my C1 just to draw in my eyes. I'll be covering it with the B, but I want to make sure I don't make them the wrong size. So I'm just going to put in, oh yeah, that's good. Don't forget his spikes. Oh, yes. What color should I make them? Should we make them red or yellow or orange, or what do you think? Tell me. Inquiring minds want to know what you guys think. I'm going to put the darker part of his eyes. We're going to kind of cover up those eyeballs and put our own in there, because if we don't, he's going to look cross-eyed. And I don't want him to look cross-eyed, so we're making our own eyes. You won't be able to tell because they're blue. Okay, we're going to go in with our B24. We want this guy to look a little bit like on the angry side, if you will. So we're going to put his darker color at the top and lighter color at the bottom. We'll put the black back in a minute. You think they should match his hair? So we think we should put some red, orange, and yellow in there. We could do that, you know. Okay, now I am going to add a little bit more of this B37 to the outside just to make sure it stands out. And then I'm going to come in with that B24 one more time on the top to keep that area really much darker. I'm going to come in with that G00 that we always use for eyes. And we're just going to do the half circle on the bottom. Just to kind of lighten up that bottom part. And we'll probably do a little bit more of that once his eyes dry and we put the black in it. So right now we're just going to leave him like that. We'll work on his spikes. Instead of doing all of the reds, we're just going to do R27, YR04, and Y08. Only 3 because we have such a small area. So we'll see how that goes. Here we go. R27. Small amount. YR04 is next. Don't worry, our card is simple and sweet. So once we finish this, we just have to put together a card, which is going to be super fast because now that I see what he looks like, I know which papers I'm going to use and all that good stuff. So we're just softening up that red transition and adding a little bit of orange. Just to keep that kind of soft. And when we do the yellow, we're going to come, you're learning so much. Yay, I love to hear that. And we're going to start from the top of the spike and go into the orange. That way it keeps the yellow at the top and it blends with the orange. And that way your spikes, you can see all the colors in the spikes. If you pull from this end, you'll be dragging more of that orange into that yellow and it won't be as yellow. So you want to just be real careful with that. So now he has spikes that look like his hair. Okay, I'm going to grab my multi-liner and I'm going to put his eyes in there. I wanted his eyes to be here. I mean, oh my goodness. And then wait, we'll put the white in it and it'll be great. So while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to come in with my B37 and I'm just going to put a few little lines in here just so his eyes look a little bit more real. They're real tiny. Not a whole lot and very tiny lines. And then we'll go over them with our G00. So this is our B34. Oh no, not B34. Yeah, B34 for the top because we want to keep that darker. And then we're going to use our G00 to soften those lines. So G00, this is another marker that I tend to wipe off the color once I start doing this, just to make sure, because I know it's going to pick up some of the blue. And I do it one more time. So I want that to really stand out. One more time on this side. And then when we put the white in there, it's going to be amazing. Okay. Now, I'm going to move all of this over so we can, because we are making this a shaker card. It's going to be so fun. And it's going to be super fast. You guys are not going to believe how fast we're going to make this into a really cute card. He has to dry or the whites will become black. So I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see. Oh my goodness. He's so adorable. I'm going to set him aside so he can stay here with us while we look at all this stuff. I'm going to stamp this. I'm so glad you guys like him. You know, sometimes we just don't know how they're going to turn out until we get started. And then we just hope it all comes out the way we planned it. We just hope, hope, hope. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Okay, I'm going to use my Misty because I want to make sure that this XOXO stamps really dark. I don't know that I want to add Happy Valentine's Day, but I'm going to stamp it anyway, just down further in case I want to use it on the inside of the card or somewhere else on the card. So let me just put this back in there. And then we're going to use, he is vibrant. We're going to use Memento Love Letter. It's red. I hope it's a good enough red for this, but we'll see. I don't use these ink pads very often, so I never know if I'm going to open it up one time and it's going to be like it doesn't work. I never know. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to stamp that more than once, though, just because I just feel like when you have this much, you have to do it more than once. I want it to be really dark. See how I just didn't get it completely quite exactly the way I wanted? So I'm just going to stamp it a couple times, and that's why I grabbed my Misty, so that I can stamp it a couple of times and I know it'll be in the exact same place. So you never have to worry about messing that up. Perfect. I think one more will get it that deep red that I really want it to be to match him. I think the sentiment is fine. I think the X and O needs a little bit more. Now, if it was black, I'd probably only need 2 shots of it, but since it's red and I don't use these ink pads, such a determined expression on his face. Yes, it is. He wants to win that mud jam or whatever they call it. I don't know. Okay, I wanted to get that wiped off just so we don't, you know, have any issues with that. I'm going to just set this aside so you guys don't have to worry about me cleaning it up. I have my mini die cut machine, super handy. I do have the die for this XOXO. So I'm going to place this over top of that. The die only comes for the XOXO, not the Happy Valentine's Day, but that's okay because that's all I really need right now is the hugs and kisses. I'm going going to cut this off because I may end up adding that Happy Valentine's Day. I'll just fussy cut it. I'm not sure. Oh, what kind of paper did I use? Oops. So we're going to cut that out. Move that out of the way now. I'm going to move this out of the way. I do keep that handy right there by my desk. It's great. Perfect. Now, it looks like it has a bit of a white shadow around it because I didn't get it on there perfectly, but I kind of like that, so I think we're going to leave it. All right. I think I'm going to leave it. I like it. And I think I'm going to just cut out this sentiment in case I want it. Which I might, because this is going to be a shaker card and we're about to shake it up here. If you guys weren't on at the beginning of the video, wait until you see the shaker bits I have for this. You are not going to believe what I found in my stash when I was cleaning up my shaker bits today. Oh, the XOXO, I love it too. It's from The Ton. I've had it for a while. It's called www.theton, T-O-N, stamps.com. You can buy the stamp and the die. And I've had it for a while because I just love it so much. Okay, and we're going to actually use a full sheet shaker pouch. I did pull out some paper that I wanted to use, so that is right here. Let me move my stamp stuff over here. I have extra paper in case I decide. So I had this thing called Mechanical. This is from Paper Rose, paperrose.com.au. So this is Australia paper, but I get it at the expo shows. And I couldn't decide if I was going to want to use like the brownish color with the blue or the grayish color with the blue. I was going to go for the gray, but I think I'm going to go for the brown. I think the brown is better. I like it. I think the brown is better. Let's see if it looks, yep, it's good. Look at my shaker bits. They're flames. They work so good with this. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with the brown. And I think I'm going to use this black as a border around it because my shaker pouch is 1/4 inch smaller than the card size. So I have space to put like an extra little mat around the card. So I'm just cutting 1/4 inch off of each side so that it will be perfect on top of my card. Now, this part will be, I don't know if that part will be under or over this. Let me see how big this mat is, this shaker pouch. Oh yeah, the shaker, that's great. See, it works perfectly. See how it fits in there? It's only 1/4 inch. You're welcome. Then I'm going to make this one 1/4 inch smaller than that one. So now it's 1/2 inch smaller than the card. So 1/4 inch was 4. So now I need it to be 3.75 by 5 because the other one is 5 1/4. So now I can mat this before I do my shaker. So I'm going to grab my glue real quick. The other side's pretty cool looking too, but it's a little bit more gear-ish. But I love this paper. I bought it for men cards because I thought it would just be perfect. And now I'm going to center this on there, just like that. I'm going to use my press pop to burnish that. All right. Now, I think my little guy needs to be inside with the flames. I think I'm going to put him on the inside. And then I'm going to put the XOXO on the outside. And maybe the Happy Valentine's Day as well. Maybe I'll put the Happy Valentine's Day across the XOXO. I just need to cut it out a little bit better. Okay, so when you buy these shaker pouches, you have to take the plastic off. So I usually work on these parts that no one will see. So if I end up scratching it, it's not a big deal. So you only have to, it's only on one side. And you just have to figure out, it's always on the inside part. Which kind of gives it a little bit of that staticky-ish feel to it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this inside this on 3 sides. And then we'll leave the top side to put the shaker bits in. So let me get, we want to make sure you get the glue all the way around the outside so the shaker bits don't get stuck on the little guy. So I'm more focused on the outside, and then I'll just put a bit on the inside. So I want him to be kind of down here, but I just want to make sure I don't put too many shaker bits that he gets covered up. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. We have to do his eyes before, and any white gel pen before we start assembling him. So let's do our white gel pen now. As soon as I find it. That's silver. I do not want to use silver. So my favorite white gel pen is the Karin pen, K-A-R-I-N, Deco Gel. You can buy it by itself or in the set with all the Milky Way Deco Gel pens, but you have to buy it on either the Olo website or the Karin Marker website. The paper is so cool and so perfect. I love this paper. I had this paper in mind for sure the minute that I decided to do this. Now, this is new. I don't usually do that, but I learned that at the Jennifer Dove, where you just put a little line that makes his eyes look glassy. So there, his eyes are done. And then I'm going to put just a little bit like on the windshield. Just because I want you to know that's glass. Maybe a little bit on the headlight. It almost makes it look like the headlight has a face. And then we should probably put just a little bit on the wheels, just so there's a little bit of, like, you know, where we left the white areas. Just kind of makes them stand out a little bit. There we go. And that makes our wheels just look a little bit more realistic. So now while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to put our tape. Oops. So I have double-sided sticky tape. And it's okay if it goes over the edge because we're going to flip it over and stick it to the card. You just don't want it to go past that scored line right there into where the shaker bits are, or they'll get stuck in there. So you don't want to do that. But it's okay if it hangs out past this part because we're going to stick it to the card. I can't see. There's a shadow. And I want to make sure I get it in the right spot. There we go. And then this one. So this is not hard, but this is the best way to get it to stick really well, is to use this double-sided sticky tape. I mean, you can use Barely Art glue, but I wouldn't use tape runner or anything like that. I would definitely use this double-sided sticky tape. It's like the best for shaker cards. So you can stick these on there. Just don't peel the cover off of the top one until you're ready. So I'm going to lay this on there. It fits perfectly within that little square. And I'm going to take 3 sides off and put them on first, and then leave that one side open for my shaker bits. So I'm going to take this little piece right here and fold it back. Like that. And then I'm going to fold it over. I like to fold the paper first. I mean the edge first before I fold it over the paper, just because it gives it a little bit more sturdiness. So sometimes it helps to do that before you put your paper in, but I didn't do it that well. I didn't do it ahead of time. I like to do 2 sides at a time, because sometimes the paper will move and get a little off center. So it's better to do the 2 sides at a time, and then the bottom, and then we'll fill it and we'll close the top. Hi, Deb. So that way it'll already be all closed up and ready to go. So once I get it ready, I'll press it down. I'll use my little tool here to make sure I get a really good seal on all the corners. And then the pouch kind of opens up. It kind of poofs out a little bit all on its own. I actually closed the top one and not the bottom one, but it doesn't matter. So let's look at our little guy here, because I need to add some shaker bits with it. And we're going to use these. Let me grab my little pour spout container here. So these are flames. So we're definitely going to put some flames in there. And I think maybe yellow with the flames. Or I could do this orangey color. Or I could do red. I don't think red. I think red's too much. This is 2 of the same oranges. So since I can use a little bit of the yellow, and I'll use a little bit of the orange, so we'll have both colors in there. So I just open these up and tap them in there with my little flames. And then I'm going to kind of shake it around. And then I'm going to add a few of these. This is like my little mixing bowl right here. I might as well add the rest because, you know, they're almost gone anyway. And I'm going to shake them up a little bit, and then I'm going to pour them in here. Just like that. I'm going to squish them around and make sure that's like enough. And I think that's enough. He'll have fun just playing with them as is. One of them sneaked out, so we're going to stick that back in there. I'm going to peel this off now. This is the fastest, best way of making a shaker card. Let me just tell you. I'm going to put the XO on the outside. Not on the inside. I'm going to put it on the outside. So now, oh my goodness. Look at those flames everywhere in there. Oh, Cooper's going to have a good old time playing with all of that. I got a couple of them a little bit too close together up there, so they're stuck. So we're just going to shake them until we get them unstuck. Come on. Oh, there we go. All right. So now we can shake them all around. Look, it's just perfect. There's enough. It looks like they're right in the flames. So when we put this on the card, I usually use the double-sided sticky tape again. I have some thicker tape that works a little bit better for me, so I don't have to put as much on there. So I'm going to grab that real quick. is right here. It's a little bit thicker. I don't use it as often, so it's in plastic wrap, but see how it's thicker than the other one by quite a bit. So I usually use this because then I don't have to do as much work. And just go over top. This one over top this edge. Just going to do a small one in the center up here and one on the bottom, and then we can just peel them off and stick it to our card. So I'm going to peel that one, and I'm going to peel this one because I made my little piece of paper down here a little bit too big right here, so it's overlapped. But that's what happens when you eyeball. You never know. I have already, I've already stamped the back of my card with my name. So I want to make sure I have it go in the right direction. Yes, like, so there's a lot of different ways to make a shaker card, but this way makes it so easy. And these pouches I got at Trinity Stamps. And one thing you have to know when you purchase them is that they have two sizes. They have two sizes of square shaker pouches. So the one that we just used is the one that says 4 by 5 1/4, which means it gives you a little bit of border so you can see the background paper that's on there, so you can see the blue as well. The other one will say 4.25 by 5 1/2. And that's if you don't want to see, a pattern paper behind it, you'd buy this one. Otherwise, you need the 4 by 5.25. This is my favorite one because I like to be able to see the extra border, but every now and then I don't, and so I need the other ones. But they are from Trinity Stamps, and I love them. So here's our XOXO. We're almost done. We got to put our XOXO on there. And look, it's going to fit just perfectly right there. So I'm going to actually use Barely Art glue. Yes, it's okay to use Barely Art glue on the plastic. It'll be fine. It works just fine. I've done it before. I love this XOXO so much. Okay, I'm going to use my tweezers to hold that so that I lay it down right on here. Just going to hold it there for a second. Look at how good his eyes look, and all his little stuff looks so good. He's going to have so much fun with this. I'm going to actually fussy cut real quick all the way around these words. Promise it won't take me long. I do this a lot. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to get it cut really slim so I can see if this word will look good over top of the XOXO. Now this comes with the XOXO stamp, so you would get Happy Valentine's Day as well. It's not an additional stamp you would have to buy. It just comes with it. And you know what I realized the other day was I have everything all the way up to Christmas and Hanukkah and Thanksgiving and new baby and wedding and everything. I could not find a Valentine's Day until I pulled out this. I was like, wow, I remember I got that XOXO. Maybe I'll just use that. And then at the bottom of it was Happy Valentine's Day. And I was like, there it is. There it is. That's what I needed. So, yeah. So you would get Happy Valentine's Day with it, which is great because I didn't have any other one. Oh, you love this card. Yay! Me too. I think Cooper's going to have so much fun. When I made Halloween cards with you guys where I did those little skeletons and we put all those shaker bits in it, and he took it to bed with them. So he was like, can I take this with me? I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, I like it. You guys like it? I like it. I'm going to put it on there. I was thinking I probably would layer it up like that. And I'm for sure going to do it too. But I know he likes it. So you could put it down here, or you could put it in the center, or you could put it somewhere else on the card. I kind of want it right down the center. Barely Art Glue allowed me to slide it so I get it exactly where I want it. Gonna just press it on there real quick with the press pop. And then there we go. Now we have his little flames in there and it shakes up. And there's our little truck. Oh, he has flames in his eyes now. And there's a close-up shot of those eyes. Don't they just look real? Ew, glossy. So much fun. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. As a quick rundown, the XOXO was the ton stamps. The digital image is Whimsy Stamps. It's digital and it's called Monster Saurus. Let me show you. Monster Saurus. Digital image. They don't have it in stamp form. Only digital is $4. It's at Whimsy Stamps. And the shaker pouches are from Trinity Stamps. And this particular one is the 4 by 5.5. That's important right there, because there's different sizes. The one we used is 4 by 5.5. I know I say that, but I've bought the wrong ones before I knew there were different sizes. So that is the pouches. So there you go. That is our card for tonight. I'll have to snuggle with the cat and wait for the hubby. Yay! Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that a lot. I will be back on Tuesday night. Don't forget to watch the YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram for speed coloring videos. I'll be adding another one tonight and then more during the weekend, so don't miss out on those. And I will see you guys on Tuesday at 8:30 Central, same as today. Good night. Thank you for joining me.